Well,
Awesome.
it's good morning for me, Lindsay, and it's good afternoon for you in New York. Lindsey Lerner, thanks for joining us here at Yellow Shelf.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's bright and early for you.
The best time of the day. Lindsay, congratulations on your podcast, Generally Curious. I
Thank
just
you.
was sharing, I love the title, and I think that actually captured me when I was first referred to your podcast. Tell us about your podcast. What do we need to know?
Sure. Yeah, the podcast started back in January of this year, although it does feel like Millie and I have been doing it forever. Millie is the founder of a company called Generalist World, which is a media and a membership platform for leaders with nonlinear careers. So anybody that has a squiggly career path, like myself, maybe if it appeals to you, maybe you've got quite the
Pick
squiggly
me. Pick me.
career
Yep.
path as well. Yeah, exactly. And so a good buddy of mine had connected Millie and I about a year and a half or so ago. And we met up, we instantly hit it off. And prior to Generally Curious, I did have my own podcast, which, if I'm being very honest, was a pretty expensive hobby. It was a lot of fun, but there was really there was not a lot there's not much ROI on that. And when I had connected with Millie, she had explained she had wanted to do a podcast, and I was like, well, I learned the hard way how to do everything. So I bet we
We can
could
come together. Yeah.
we'll ditch that, we'll do this. And so we started scheming on that, and within not even a week, we had the name and everything flowed together really, really perfectly.
Yeah. And look, I love the word curious. I teach my kids that they should be curious
Sure.
about the world.
Oh, same.
So I definitely think it's a clever title. What
Yeah.
you've got it's a fortnightly podcast.
Yeah.
You have super interesting guests who are
Sure.
incredibly insightful. How do you seek out
Totally.
those guests and what's the formula there?
Yeah, I think for that, what was interesting was season one, really, we focused on just really interesting people who identify as generalists that were out in the wild doing their generalist thing. And so we were sharing their stories and using our platform to amplify what they were doing. And in some cases, they were using their platform to amplify what we were doing. Maybe
Yeah.
they're a couple steps ahead, but it was really just showcasing the versatility of what a generalist is. We had folks who were authors and writers and cold plungers, and you name it, like, we interviewed them. And then for season two, we got way more in the weeds and wanted to get really, really tactical. We've done a good job of causing a ruckus, at least on the internet in the LinkedIn realm, about raising awareness around generalists and
Yeah.
saying, this negative stigma, we gotta get that out of here.
Yeah.
And so really showcasing what a generalist can do and really what that approach really means. And so this season we've gotten folks like Justin Welsh, who that episode is coming out soon, who really does a deep dive into the tips, tricks, tools, habits, the how of what being a generalist really is, instead of staying a
Yeah.
little up in the clouds.
Yeah. And I would recommend anyone should follow you on LinkedIn because you do write some really really insightful posts about,
Absolutely.
ideas and comments around generalists. So
Mhm.
not only should they listen to the podcast, but they should definitely follow you on LinkedIn. Lindsay, what's the best way to connect with you? If we're listening now and we're curious, we're in different
Totally.
hemispheres. I'm sure you can
Yes.
tell us all the platforms or the best way to
Yeah,
connect with you.
absolutely. Yeah. LinkedIn for sure. Lindsey Lerner, Lindsey Lerner. Easy to find. I am pretty reachable. I will either answer you instantaneously or in probably
Yeah.
3 weeks from the time you message me. There's no in between,
Yeah.
but there will be a
Yeah.
response. Other than that, email works as well. Just hello
Yeah.
at lindseylerner.com.
Awesome, Lindsay. Well, I'll put that in the show notes to make it super
Awesome.
easy. Look,
That
keep
sounds good.
podcasting. I'm so excited to hear that there's so many great guests,
Yeah,
riffing about generalists and their
100%.
thoughts. And yeah, I'd recommend anyone take a deep dive because you're a number of episodes in and a couple of
Yeah,
series in. So congratulations.
totally.
Thanks for joining us.
Super appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Cheers.